Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends, your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound Browns 3D over here now on the OBR. Appreciate everybody who makes us your viewing for nightly content. We followed tonight by the React. Of course, Brad and Pete, they do a fantastic job with that show, so make sure you stick around after you're done here and after you're done subscribing to YouTube, and certainly after you're done subscribing over on Twitch, reading all the written content over at the OBR, of course, and maybe even doing yourself a huge favor and signing up for that insider package. And from that insider package, you would have known or not been surprised by the news today of the Browns basically taking Bill Musgrave from a senior consultant type of role and naming him the quarterback coach for the 2025 season. If you're old like me, you actually remember Bill Musgrave as a player, quarterback out in Oregon back in the day. Yeah, I'm old. I know. You want to talk about a guy that is a coach lifer. That is absolutely Bill Musgrave. Goes back to, I guess, about 97, I think, the then Oakland Raiders. 98 over with Philadelphia Eagles, spent a few seasons with the Panthers. Back in college, University of Virginia, spent time there. Jacksonville Jaguars, Washington Redskins, again, at the time, different name, of course. Atlanta Falcons for a few seasons, the quarterback coach, assistant head coach with the Falcons, Vikings, Eagles, Raiders again, Broncos. In Cal, I don't know if anybody remembers, that was the early 2020s. That was actually a really fun offense, and Bill Musgrave was the offense coordinator for the Cal Bears in those days. Been consulting the last couple seasons with the Cleveland Browns. Now will be the quarterback coach, and most likely will be tasked with grooming whatever rookie quarterback the Cleveland Browns select. Some other news today out of Mobile. And look, I understand being a beat reporter has got to be a tremendously difficult job. There's no question about it. Because you have to play that fine line of when you get time, and in this case, a couple of beat reporters got, a little bit of Andrew Berry's time. And you have to play that fine line of, just because what you think might be appealing as a question, that's not necessarily the way to go about it. You basically have to go about it about what you think your readers, and certainly the Browns and the Dog Pound fandom, thinks or wants to hear asked of said person, of course, in this case, Andrew Berry. But in the Senior Bowl week, and I understand, look, for beat reporters, and this is, again, why I'm going to tell you guys to subscribe to the channels over here. If you guys are going to the beat for the Cleveland Browns for draft coverage, look, you're kind of wasting your time. They'll give you some information. They'll give you some basic information. But there are guys like myself, and I'm not trying to promote myself here too largely. There are guys like Pete Smith. There are guys like Jacob Roach. First off, we've been on it for ages now, as soon as you saw that this Cleveland Browns season in 2024 wasn't going anywhere. But this is, we know how to cover this team year round. And, we're not just back, doing this. We're doing it every year. We did it every year when the Browns didn't have a first-round draft choice. Some years when they didn't even have a second-round draft choice. This is part of the difference of being a beat reporter and, being somebody that just covers the team on a whole. And, this is a big part of the difference. And no disrespect to what they do, but, they're not pouring through, hours and hours of watching college prospects. I'll tell you right now, they didn't watch every Syracuse game this year like this dope over here did. It's just part of what you do when you put out the type of content, certainly that we do here at the OBR, certainly what I did in my former place. This is what it's about, And, so, there's a lot of great people out there that can give you a lot of great draft coverage and certainly can thumb through draft prospects and find you guys that would probably wet the whistle as far as what we've seen through 5 seasons of Andrew Berry's drafts. But when you do get an opportunity to sit with the general manager of the Cleveland Browns in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl, how about we talk about things relative to the most important offseason, certainly of Andrew Berry's time here. This is a pressure cooker of an offseason for Andrew Berry. Finding the veteran quarterback, manipulating free agency, manipulating salary cap, handling the draft, finding the rookie quarterback that's also going to be part of this 2025 man roster. These are all a million things that would have been a fantastic question or two to sit with general manager Andrew Berry today and ask. Not, hey, would you trade Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks? Andrew Berry spoke to us at his closing presser at the end of the season and basically told you his vision and his plan for Myles Garrett is to walk out of the Cleveland Browns locker room and to walk into Canton, Ohio. And even if it's lip service, even if it was just lip service, do you think Andrew Berry is going to tell people while he's there, busy at the Senior Bowl, has a lot of his personnel working closely with the prospects in this game? You think that would have been the time where he would have said, oh, yeah, guys, by the way, I totally plan to trade Myles Garrett this year. And again, it's not an easy job because you have to figure out what is satisfying the masses being your readers. But, sometimes you just got to read the room. And that's my comment certainly on that. Hey, what do you think about this tight end class? What do you think about this running back class? Hey, there's a quarterback here that's got ties to your new offense coordinator. Is there something that you think you like about this young man? All viable questions. All viable questions. Will you trade Myles Garrett for 2 first-round picks? It's just a waste of time. And even still, you're not, even if he was going to, which he's not, and we all know he's not, you don't trade your franchise player. He wasn't going to tell you in Mobile during Senior Bowl week. Browns signed a fullback. So for everybody who's, ready to get back to Cleveland Browns and hopefully reestablishing the running of the football, Troy Hairston, originally part of the Houston Texans, so nice seeing maybe that fullback. And God, I know how excited you Browns fans get about the fullback. So certainly seems like a great possibility that is going to return in 2025 as the Browns try to reestablish the wide zone game and reestablish the running game and hopefully get their offense back on track. Now, certainly I spoke yesterday, and now I wanted basically to go one off of the other, okay? So I spoke yesterday, and, I had mentioned, and this was after a lot of work over the weekend. I truly feel, in my opinion, that for the Cleveland Browns, the best option, if there is an option, and a quarterback option at 2, is Cam Ward. I slept on it, and talking to some buddies today. If Tennessee falls enamored with a Travis Hunter, knock yourself out. They fall enamored with an Abdul Carter and want to take him at 1. If there's somebody that wants to trade up to 1 to take Shedeur Sanders, fantastic. If they want to take Shedeur Sanders, even fantastic. But I think the perfect scenario for the Cleveland Browns in a non-trade down position would be to select Cam Ward at number 2 overall. Again, I think Cam has the leadership qualities you're looking for. I love the fact that he's gone to 3 different schools, gone to 3 different levels of football, and his game progressed and improved as he went to all 3 of those levels. Very, very impressed with the young man out of currently his 3rd school, Miami University. So my thought process was if we were going to go Cam Ward at 2, I wanted to run that mock. And I wanted to see how that mock kind of parlayed to what could be, the Cleveland Browns 2025 draft class. Now, first things first, this is a pre-free agency, pre-beginning of offseason mock. So as soon as I see you all over there getting your red markers ready to grade this like you're a school teacher and, it's the weekly spelling test and you want to shred me to pieces, let's just keep in mind that this is a mock draft done before the Senior Bowl is over, done before the Shrine Bowl is over, done before the Combine even starts, done before the NFL offseason actually begins, and done before NFL free agency starts. So click those caps back on your red markers before you start going and read this. But yeah, Cam Ward at 2. Again, arm angle, extending the play, not to be able to, turn himself into a runner. And he's athletic, maybe athletic enough. I don't think I'm going to put athletic in, top 3, 4, 5 as far as positives for Cam Ward. But he can move. He can move. I like the arm strength. I like the velocity. I am enamored with the ability to be able to, maneuver his arm angle. Again, we talked about this. This is something now where it's, and it certainly probably started a lot with Patrick Mahomes. And now we have players who are reaching the league who essentially have spent almost 7, 8, 9, 10 years now watching Patrick Mahomes through his development at Texas Tech and certainly his time with Kansas City Chiefs. So, you want to mimic one of the best, if not the best. And that's certainly, something that we're seeing happen, with these quarterback prospects as the years go on. So with this and taking Ward at 2, obviously meant it wasn't a trading down scenario. You were just going to stay at 2. You're going to take Cam Ward, and then you try to play the draft, certainly, from there. One thing that I can truly tell you about this draft, and I think it was Daniel Jeremiah who spoke. He was either last night or this morning, and he really felt the absolute, strength and, the nails of this class is somewhere in the 20 to 60 range. Basically meaning, he thinks it's a, it's a 2-round draft as far as, there's going to be guys that should be fringe first round. And it's going to be interesting. I think a lot of people are going to struggle with their first round mocks this year. You do the big, there's the huddle report, the big contest that everybody does with the mock draft contest. I think it's going to just be a really, really difficult year. And you're going to get obviously a winner. There's a winner every year. There always will be, but it might not be like a record breaking one. I think Josh Norris might have one of the best of all time as far as, the mock draft. But, because there is just going to be so much trench play depth, and I'm going to include edges there. But, defensive tackle play, offensive line play, defensive end play. This is an insane amount of guys. It really, really is, as far as what these guys can do. In this scenario, and, I ran this about 3-4 times because you try to see, and you don't want to try to find like, oh, there's an oddball, like, somebody that's, ranked 7th overall, the board falls to 33. But going with Daniel Jeremiah's thought process of 20 to 60 is just absolutely stacked in this draft. It was because, there was just names upon names that kept showing up and being available at pick 33. And again, if I pray the Browns have a scenario where they, are picking 33rd after night 1, and we all get to spend the next 20 hours geeking out over the Browns basically being on the clock for the first selection of day 2. In this scenario, Mike Green, the edge from Marshall University, was easily the guy to take here. There were some concerns when everybody got to Mobile. The Senior Bowl had released, some initial, and, I don't know where this came from. And, but there was, all of a sudden there was, Mike Green, and it was 6'3", 236. I was like, oof, 236. 236, you're not going first round. You might not even going round 2. It doesn't change, what you think the guy can bring you, but it certainly changes the thought process of whether this guy can be an every down player. Well, that's why we do officials at these All-Star games, and certainly they'll all be remeasured again at the Combine. Mike Green was actually 6'3", 253. When you saw that, game on. Led the nation in sacks. all the Ohio State fans, you obviously got to see Mike Green firsthand this season. Playing for the Thundering Herd, very, very impressive season for him. Marshall really, stepped up this year as a program, and a lot of that had to do with a player like Mike Green. It's one of those, everybody seems, so infatuated with Abdul Carter too. And look, Abdul Carter, in my opinion, is the best prospect in this draft. Certainly could go 1, but if there's a chance the Browns can get Cam Ward at 2, I can get Abdul Carter-like type guys later, and I have to take the quarterback. I won't say that for any other quarterback in this class. If Cam Ward is available too, it is absolutely, in my opinion, no nonsense, no question. You take Cam Ward. So now that rotates, obviously, ends to round 2, and then the Browns get to round 3, where they certainly have 2 selections currently, 67 and 94. This is where I'm going to throw y'all black eye a bone. And I've talked about the running back, Travion Henderson, plenty. It is not Travion Henderson this time. One of the most, and I know Will Howard gets the credit, Jeremiah Smith gets the credit, certainly Judkins and Henderson get credit, Jack Sawyer and the defensive line get a ton of credit, all warranted. But in my opinion, one of the most unsung heroes of the Ohio State Buckeyes, and I've mentioned this before, during their national title run, was Donovan Jackson. The starting left guard asked to be the starting left tackle for the playoffs. And Donovan Jackson was damn near flawless at left tackle. It was an amazing, amazing run for a guy who spent so much time on the interior and was asked to make, the sacrifice, was asked to step up for his team and go play left tackle. And job damn done. No question about it. Now, everybody thinks that Donovan Jackson is going to be a fantastic guard in the NFL. And that's fine. But if I can draft him and I can get him at pick 67, the thought is that DeJuan should be ready to go from his injury for the offseason. And certainly, it appears the Browns seem pretty ready to give DeJuan Jones a legit run to prove whether or not he can be the starting left tackle. Look, we still going to have a major question, and we're not going to talk about it until we know more about left guard in regards to Joe Bitonio. Congratulations, by the way, Joe Bitonio going back to the Pro Bowl. It does give me a little pause and hesitation. Was it maybe, hey, let's bring Joe Bitonio out to the Pro Bowl festivities because maybe this is it for Joel? Hoping it's not, but, hey, after 11 years, Joe Bitonio owes nobody nothing. So his decision will be his decision, and he deserves to make it. So with Donovan Jackson, I have an opportunity here to have a guy that I think could possibly play left tackle for me, or I have a guy that I know can play left guard for me. So this is a great spot, a great pick to have here with Donovan Jackson. I already got to see a trial run of him playing left tackle. His measurements are okay, are what you were hoping for if you were going to try to fully transition him to left tackle full time. It's not a question. His build, everything you're looking for, arm length, all of that size. It checks the boxes. Ooh, just dropped the first checks the boxes of the 2025 draft cycle. Checks the boxes. First time. It felt good. Felt good to get that first one out of the way. Now we go down to pick number 94. And look, defensive tackle again. Running back, tight end, edge, defensive tackle, offensive line. Loaded. This class is loaded in all 5 of those positions. Loaded. Absolutely loaded. So this is a different name here. Omar Norman Lott, defensive tackle, Tennessee Volunteers. Good interior player. Good push. Knows how to play well and keep himself low. It's impressive. It's stuff that takes kids time to learn. Usually, most of them get by with power and quickness, so they don't necessarily focus too much on technique in college. That's something you learn when you get to the NFL, and 330-pound grown men are, basically Undertaker style putting you into a grave. That is not the case for Norman Lott from Tennessee. He's got a lot of that already. And, we'll see Dalvin Tomlinson. We'll see the way it works. And if the Browns, and everybody commits to that third year of the 3-year contract that DT signed. And I don't have an issue either way. I think Dalvin has been really good for this team. I think the leadership is there. I like a guy in Dalvin Tomlinson who can kind of get a guy like Myles Garrett to come out of his shell a little bit. And, certainly in 23, not in 24. You saw times on the sidelines where, Myles Garrett, and Dalvin Tomlinson don't care. You're the best team. You're the best guy in the team. You're the worst guy in the team. Dalvin Tomlinson's guy's just going to rib you, poke at you, make jokes. And you certainly saw that Myles Garrett, just kind of had a different vibe to him being around a teammate like that. But it is certainly a question. You have Briggs who showed well. Mike Hall, it's going to be a long injury recovery off season for Mike Hall, and certainly an aspect. So if Dalvin Tomlinson stays, you're going to need another defensive tackle. If something happens where the Dalvin Tomlinson relationship is no longer, certainly something to consider there. Free agency, I've mentioned a name like Milton Williams, but you want to go take a couple of, draft a couple more defensive tackles and get that room really young and really cheap for the next couple of years. After last year and the return on Michael Hall and the return on Juwan Briggs, you can certainly do it again here in the 2025 draft class. The tight end run went a little wonky in the way we ran this mock. Luke Lachey, and I will just paraphrase this right off the beginning, 24 years old, so I do not think he is going to be on the Cleveland Browns, high on the Cleveland Browns board. Was productive early in his career at Iowa. Iowa really couldn't throw the ball in 2024. They just couldn't throw it at all. It was the Caleb Johnson show. But Luke Lachey is a great blocker. Iowa tight ends. Do we really have to say any more? Iowa tight ends. We know they can block, and they will probably be more active in the receiving game in the NFL than they were in college. It's like every Iowa tight end there is. It's the same story. Whether it's Kittle, whether it's Fant. You just continue to say these names, and it's the same old thing over. Good blockers probably will be more productive as a receiver in the NFL. Luke Lachey falls into that line as well. The wide receiver class, and this is where, I'm going to bring this up, and we're certainly going to find time to talk about this somewhere here in the offseason. Andrew Berry is traded for a wide receiver 3 seasons in a row in the offseason. I truly think that is something that is going to be very much on the table here, because this wide receiver class, man, it's tough. It's just not very deep. It's not. I like the names at the top, certainly. But the Browns are going to have bigger needs at the top of this draft. And then this class kind of just runs away and hides and dries up after that. But one guy I do like is Jalen Noel at Iowa State. One thing you look for when you're trying to find, basically just something, from guys that, it's just not a, wow you type of class. Show me the guy that catches the dirty balls. Show me the guy that's able to catch the underthrow. Show me the guy, certainly, can come down with a contested catch. A guy that, maybe wasn't getting the quarterback play or the level close to quarterback play that he's going to see once he gets to the NFL. And I think that is a reason I kind of like a guy like Jalen Noel. Now, this is where it's going to get crazy for the Browns. Now, from 194 to 257, the Cleveland Browns are going to have 6 selections in this draft. That's a lot. Do they take them all? Probably not. In a lot of this scenario, if you wanted to move on from one of these picks, hey, it's a late 6th, it's a 7th, if it's a 7th, kick me a 6th next year. We all know the dance that Andrew Berry loves to do, continue to accumulate assets. Do I think the Browns are going to make all 12 selections? I hope not, because that means that probably the free agency and the trade market was not kind to the Cleveland Browns. So I don't think they're going to make all 12 selections. But for all intents and purposes here, we did. A guy I'm absolutely infatuated with, LaQuint Allen Jr., running back out of Syracuse. 2 straight 1,000-yard seasons for Syracuse. The only running back in college football to have 60 receptions this past season. He can do it all in both ways. Hands are 10 1/4 inches. That is offensive lineman type hands. He weighs right around a little over 2 bills. And, if you Google and, you find a picture of LaQuint Allen Jr. where, maybe he does not have his shirt on, you can see he's yoked up, and you can certainly see that even as muscular as he is, the very, very easy path to putting on good weight to get himself 205, 210 to be able to absorb NFL punishment. But I said earlier there was a dope who watched all of Syracuse football this year. That's me. I'm the dope. LaQuint Allen Jr., ball player. California, Cal Berkeley. They got a couple of really, really interesting defensive backs in this class. Noel Williams, good size, somewhere between 6'1.5" and 6'2". 7 interceptions this past season for the Cal Bears. Good in coverage, good in press man, knows how to use his length to his advantage. This is a guy that would be day 3 that can certainly, give you some contributions. We'll see the way the Browns cornerback room works because you have Ward, you have Emerson currently, you have Newsome currently, you have Mitchell, and you certainly have Miles Harden. So, do they move somebody? I don't know. But do you keep drafting defensive backs? Yes, you do. There's no question about it. Your team is led by defensive backs. Your head coach was a defensive back. Your general manager was a defensive back. They were never going to ignore the defensive back position. Not a question at all. Craig Woodson. And look, the Juan Thornhill experiment, and this is the second safety the Browns have tried to sign in free agency that did not work out. John Johnson III, I will continue to say it wasn't necessarily his fault. They, were asking him to play a traditional free safety, where John Johnson III was kind of a jack of all trades defensive back, and it just never worked. We'll always have that shining Thursday night football game against the Denver Broncos, where John Johnson was a monster that night. Never worked out. The Juan Thornhill thing has never worked out. And, whether you believe it or not, and Juan Thornhill on his social medias basically makes it sound like, he feels it was a mistake to come here. Oh, I mean, that mistake's going to end, and the Browns will be looking certainly for safety help, because right now you have Grant Delpit, who you like, and then you have Ronnie Hickman, and you certainly have the Anthony Bell. Browns are going to need help, certainly on the safety market. A guy like Craig Woodson and his range can certainly be somebody that does that. I don't know if it's going to go this way, and maybe it could, maybe it couldn't. Everybody, the Browns should draft 2 quarterbacks this year. Yeah, well, that quarterback class, look, guys, I'm a month into this. There's some guys I'm comfortable with, and, it all depends on where they're available. And I've told you I will be the guy to say Cam Ward at 2. I'm in. But I'm having a hard enough time finding 1 quarterback. 2? Nah, man, I don't know how you draft 2 quarterbacks from this 2025 NFL draft class. However, is there a possibility that I can double dip in the running back market? And with all these running backs available, I'm in. I am in. I will double dip. So, Donovan Edwards from Michigan. And again, look, everybody, he won't be there. Okay. So he goes higher, another running back falls. I'm not even lying to you. There's probably going to be several running backs that go as undrafted free agents who are good names, who had great careers, who are going to have good athleticism, who are going to have size that checks out. Donovan Edwards, where it was a rough year certainly for him, University of Michigan. This is a chance here for the Browns, to redo that running back room. And, yes, maybe you want to keep a fullback full-time, possibly, but, to say, you drafted 2, does that mean that's the end of Nick? I'm not saying it is or it isn't. That's why we do mock drafts. That things could change when we find out what the Browns' future with Nick Chubb is. But I just think there's enough talent between LaQuint Allen Jr. and Donovan Edwards from Michigan that if I have the chance to fortify the Cleveland Browns running back room for the next 4 or 5 seasons, along with Jerome Ford, look, I know Jerome, and everybody keeps in mind, Jerome Ford, only 1 year left. Only 1 year left on that deal. So, Jerome Ford right now is not making or breaking any decision as far as what the Cleveland Browns think they should or should not do at the running back position in the 2025 NFL draft. I think I kind of grew an affinity. Certainly we got to see a lot of Notre Dame games throughout the playoffs. And I think I kind of grew a little bit of an affinity for Jack Kaiser from Notre Dame. When you say, what does a linebacker and a captain of a defensive team look like? Yeah, Jack Kaiser. That's exactly what it looks like. And again, look, the Browns linebacker room, you want to bring back Devin Bush and basically run it back. I'm fine with that. But there's a big question when we say run it back, as far as in regards to the Cleveland Browns linebacker room. Where is Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah in that run it back phase? Still don't know nothing. And, some of the rhetoric that we've heard certainly scares the daylights out of you. When a guy, and I believe it was November 24th, maybe, when we're this far down the road and we still don't know yet whether or not, guy's good to go or he's not good to go. And when it's regards to, certainly the part of the body it is with JOK, certainly pause and hesitation. Jack Kaiser can come in, play some special teams within due time, could probably be a pretty decent functional part of the Browns offense. Certainly seemed athletic enough, to play in nickel and dime. And, look, we know the Browns, want to get their linebackers off the field as quickly as possible, unless you are the nickel and dime backers. So, but a guy like Jack Kaiser, I think kind of helps shape what you're looking for in a roster, certainly helps shape what you're looking for in a linebacker room. We close it out, and he's killing it at the Shrine Bowl right now, and probably will not be available here in the 7th round. But again, that means he goes higher. This defensive tackle class is so deep. That means there's a defensive tackle that would be available. In this case scenario with CJ West at Indiana. Again, killing it at the Shrine Bowl. Quickness, power, shooting gaps. This could be another opportunity. And a lot of it hinges, on Dalvin Tomlinson. Could this be another draft where the Browns go 2 defensive tackles? And for me, the reason I would like it is for all the years defensive tackle was kind of ignored, or the Browns just kind of gave a little effort and, kind of got some guys in here. If you're telling me, and again, it doesn't necessarily have to be West, but if you are telling me you can have a defensive tackle room going forward for the next few years of Mike Hall Jr., of Juwan Briggs, of Omar Norman Lott, and of course CJ West at Indiana, I'm in. I think the future of that room could be absolutely fantastic. So I kind of wanted to back-to-back these 2 episodes, after speaking the way I did yesterday on Cam Ward. And I think I'm kind of there, and I'm just not going to back off of it. If it's going to be a quarterback at 2, it's Cam Ward for me. Otherwise, we sit and watching how it plays out. But I'll plant my flag on Cam Ward. But I think this draft is bountiful where the Browns need it. Running back, offensive line, defensive tackle, edge, all of that. I think it's bountiful there. Get a tight end, wide receiver. It might be something that you choose to address through trade or free agency, and get some day 3 value picks on defense that, guys can turn into performers and players for this team down the road. It's kind of the way I'm seeing it here. We'll be back with you tomorrow. Certainly, just continue to pump out the content, Senior Bowl week, Shrine Bowl week, starting to get to, a little bit better information on these prospects as we go down this path. And then from here, we'll gravitate towards, of course, certainly, the NFL Combine. Make sure you stick around Brad Ward and Pete Smith for the React afterwards. Those guys always do a fantastic job with the show. They really do. And, I know it crushed last week. I'm sure it'll crush again this week. So geez, keep on coming out, subscribing to the YouTube page, subscribing to the Twitch page, check out all the written content over at the OBR. And of course, anybody teetering, man, you want that insider package, because if you had that insider package, the Bill Musgrave hiring of being the offense coordinator wouldn't have surprised you, because from everything the OBR was told, it was felt that the Browns offensive coordinator was already in the building for the 2025 season. I am Jeff Lloyd. Appreciate every single one of you. This has been your daily delivery of all things Dog Pound. Browns 3D, brought to you by the OBR. And we'll talk to you all tomorrow.